Hello, good morning, and a very warm welcome to round 7 of the Finetwork FIM JuniorGP World Championship. We're at Motorland Aragon, a fantastic 5.1 kilometre ribbon of asphalt located a stone's throw away from the historic Spanish town of Alcañiz. And today we could be crowning 2 more champions, after we already saw Jose Antonio Rueda claim the Junior GP title at the San Marino Grand Prix around a month ago. 5 races on the way today, and then I can say happily that it's a gloriously sunny Motorland Aragon. First up is race 1 from the Moto2 European Championship, followed by race 1 from the Hawkers European Talent Cup. Then it's time for Junior GP, followed by race 2 in Moto2, and to round off a bumper day of action, it will be Hawkers European Talent Cup race 2. My name is Elliot York, and alongside me in the commentary box is my good friend and colleague Liam Hodgins to bring you all the action from today. We're shortly going to see highlights from Moto2 back in Portimao. But Liam, it's a gloriously sunny day here in Aragon, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck into the action. Oh,
it's a brilliant day here in October in Aragon. Who would have thought that Motorland Aragon at this time of year would be picturesque as it is, with the sun shining on this 5.1 kilometre asphalt. And there's a, well, I'm not sure what kind of bird that is, but our colleague Matt Dunn will be telling us, and screaming at the TV screens right now, telling us what kind of winged animal that will be.
Yeah, he certainly will. Unfortunately, we don't know, so can't bring you that. But yeah, the Moto2 grid then shortly going to be lining up on the grid, ready for their race 1, and it's a crucial day in terms of the title chase. This is what happened back at the Algarve International Circuit some 11 weeks ago now. It's been a while since we've seen these guys in action, but Lucas Tulovic started on pole, as he has done for every single race this year, over in Portimao in July. That was him making a mistake at the top of the hill. Alex Escrigue, the number 11, will bring you more news on him as we go through the day in a short while. But he won race 1 over in Portimao to bridge the gap to the number 3 of Lucas Tulovic. That was his 2nd race win in a row. This is race 2 highlights. Lucas Tulovic getting away well, but he'd make a huge mistake going down into turn 5. Senna Aegis, the number 81 rider. We've heard a lot about him, haven't we, over the last couple of months or so? An exciting young Aussie in this talent, making a move here up the inside of Lucas Tulovic. He would take the race lead eventually. He crashed out of the lead in race 1, but they saw Lucas Tulovic taking it on the run to the line to extend his title lead coming into Motorland Aragon. And I can confirm that Lucas Tulovic is on pole once again. His 100% pole position record in 2022 remains intact, and Liam, he's 40 points clear in the overall standings of Alex Escrigue, who isn't here this weekend, is he?
Yes, unfortunately, Alex Escrigue is out this weekend because of a training accident, which has ruled the young Spaniard out. But, well, the title chase isn't over just yet, because we still have Senna Aegis in the title battle, 54 points behind Lucas Tulovic, so it could still go down to the wire, but it's a tall order considering how quick we've seen Lucas Tulovic run this Motorland Aragon circuit this weekend. He's 0.5 quicker than everyone else in qualifying yesterday. Just incredible speed by the young German.
Yeah, it really is. We were out on the track watching him yesterday, watching the guys in action, and it just looks so quick, so smooth, and yeah, really did look not a class above everyone else, because that'd be a little bit too much of a stretch. But yeah, like you say, Liam, over half a second advantage over in qualifying. Before we do get properly stuck into that, I'd just like to say that we send our strength and prayers to World Supersport 300 rider Victor Stearman. We'll carry on with that just after the qualifying practice review. We'll hear from Lucas Tulovic.
Well, it was difficult to come back after 11 weeks of summer break, so I have to give huge credits to my team. They did such a fantastic job to give me the bike that is giving me straight away a good feeling again on the front, because this was the main issue, to get back the feeling to my Triumph Kalex. So my team did a fantastic job. I started to feel better and better session by session, and finally I reached my target by far to do a 52 lap time here. And yeah, amazing lap time. Didn't even expect to get into the low 52s. So also the pace looks fantastic, and I feel more than ready for the races tomorrow.
Lucas Tudovic there explaining what happened in qualifying yesterday. Yeah, just going back to the point we were just making there, Victor Steeman, who remains in a critical condition in hospital after an incident yesterday over in Portimao in the World Supersport 300 race. Sending all our best wishes to him, his family, friends and the World SBK paddock for some good news. And we'd also like to send our heartfelt condolences to the friends and family of Chrissy Rouse, who tragically lost his life following an incident in the British Superbikes at Donington Park last weekend. It's been a difficult week for the sport that we all love. It can be devastatingly cruel sometimes, but let's just hope for, as always, a safe race day here in Aragon as we get to see some future Grand Prix stars in action. So yeah, Liam, Lucas Tulovic then, 54 points clear of Senna Agius. 2 races here today. Basically what he needs to do, well, if he wins the race, he is the European champion in race 1, but all he needs to do is leave here with a 50-point advantage or more, of course, to be crowned the 2022 title winner. Indeed. We could go into so many permutations of how Lucas Tulovic could become champion here in race 1 today, but the short story is, and the easiest answer is simple. As long as he beats Senna Agius in race number 1, he will be crowned the Moto2 European champion in 2022. Now, if Senna Agius wins, then it rolls on to race number 2, where we still have a bit of hope that it could go down to the season finale in Valencia. And looking as cool as ever, I must admit, those sunglasses are something else, aren't they? 17-year-old, I don't know what the fashion is nowadays, but it's clearly not something that I'm not in touch with, the fashion nowadays of the kids. But Senna Agius on the number 81 machine, he's had 2 wins so far this year, and well, you might see 2 DNFs there. Surprisingly so, those 2 DNFs came when he was leading the races comfortably back in race number 1 in Portimao and back in Valencia. So fingers crossed that he can take the fight here to Lucas Tulovic and not have any mistakes on the chase there as well. Yeah, Senna Agius has been really, really impressive, hasn't he, this year in his rookie year on a Moto2 bike. We saw his teammate Xavi Carlos in second on the grid, his second front rower 2022 for Xavi Carlos, the experienced Andorian. But yeah, Senna Agius is the only rider now who can stop Lucas Tudovic from claiming the title today. So 0.9 seconds was his disadvantage in qualifying, which is a fairly large gap. And Lucas Tudovic mentioned his lap time of 1:52. It's only a second off Sam Lowe's all-time lap record. So that just goes to show what sort of pace Lucas Tulovic was setting in the dry conditions yesterday. But yeah, touching upon Senna Agius a bit more, Liam, we obviously saw him in the Grand Prix paddock replacing Sam Lowe's, who we've just mentioned, of course, in Austria, San Marino and Aragon right here. And he finished just outside the points here, less than a second off 15th place, despite taking 2 long lap penalties. So he's got experience round here. Qualifying wasn't what he would have been looking for yesterday, but we can probably hope for a good race and a good battle between the pair. Yeah, it was really surprising how far he has been off the pace of Lucas Tulovic. Now, let's not forget, Lucas Tulovic has been here many times before, including back in the Moto2 Grand Prix days. But Senna Agius, with those 2 long lap penalties, could have been in the points, which is just incredible to think about. And he would have been coming into this weekend full of confidence that he could take the fight and possibly win both races here today. But as we saw, Lucas Tulovic means business here to wrap up the title. Certainly does. Agius does need to win really the 2 races to take it to Valencia. But we will wait and see, of course. Looking down the grid, heading the second row is Yere Ruiz in 4th place. That's his best qualifying of the year. His previous best was 6th place in Portimao, so a good job yesterday from Ruiz to stick it at the spearhead of row 2. Mikel Pons is in the middle of the second row in 5th place. This is his 3rd weekend competing in the Moto2 European Championship. You'll recognise Mikel Pons if you're a Moto2 fan, of course. He's claimed 4 podiums over there. And then row 2 in 6th place is Roberto Garcia, the number 31. 16-year-old, first full season for Roberto Garcia. He claimed 4 top 10s in the 2021 European Talent Cup, including here in Aragon. So he clearly likes this track. Yeah, we must not forget, back in Portimao, he finished, well, he got 2 top 5 finishes, and he was riding in the podium battle for much of both of the races. Really could have been on the podium, and Roberto Garcia is one to watch. He might be overshadowed a little bit considering how much we've been talking about Senna Agius as a rookie, but in Roberto Garcia's first full season in the Moto2 Championship, he competed in the last round at Valencia last year, so
when he completes this weekend, it'll be a full season. So we'll go back to Valencia, where he could be one to watch for some podium positions. He could be one to watch here today. We're going from 6th in the grid. The podium could be a tall order, but nothing that he won't be able to fight for.
A tall order, but that's what he'll certainly be aiming for. His best result so far is a 4th place back in Portimao. So from the 2nd row, he's looking good to try and equal that or potentially stand on the podium. Tommaso Marcon leads row 3 in P7, the number 10 rider. He's had 3 DNFs in his last 6 races, has Tommaso Marcon. So we'll be hoping to, first and foremost, finish the race inside the points, inside the top 10, and then if he can challenge for a potential podium, he will obviously do so. Alex Toledo, the number 55 rider, is starting in P8. On the contrary, he's had no DNFs so far this year, as Alex Toledo, top 5 every race until he finished 8th last time out, Liam. It's been a decent year for Alex Toledo, and Matteo Volpi there will start P9, just his 2nd Moto2 European Championship round of the season. So we've got some exciting talent making up the first 3 rows of the grid here for the 16-lap encounter coming up very shortly.
Yeah, there's lots of exciting young talent all the way through the field, and I'd like to draw your attention to the man that'll be starting in 13th place, returning Sam Wilford. Now, let's look back towards Estoril, where he had that horrendous accident in race number 2, a really big off that looked very, 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 very tragic indeed. But thankfully, he has recovered, and he is back here in action today. He's still limping a little bit. We saw him in our hotel a couple of nights ago, still limping, but thankfully, Sam Wilford back here this weekend and starting 13th.
Yeah, good to see the British rider back. Surgery on his back, leg and shoulder after that crash over in Estoril 5 months ago. Here's the grid then. Tulovic on pole from Cardelus and Agius, followed by Ruiz, Pons and Garcia on row 2. Marcon, Toledo and Volpi complete row 3, your top 9.
On row number 4, we have Rato ahead of the number 74 of Piotr Biszarkowski. And then rounding out the row number 4 is Sanchez as well. Wilford, we've already spoken about him. He's 13th ahead of Montero and Munoz, the number 17. Ben Davies on row number 6 ahead of Rodriguez, and Tapia with Ruiz, the number 12, the stock 600 rider. Starting off row number 7 ahead of Orges and Alfano. And then on row number 8, we have Heinrich and Shiba rounding out the start of that one. Further back, we have Van der Lagmat, the number 19, ahead of Nestola, and the penalty people further back, that's Kyle Paz and Dino Iotto. They've been given penalties for riding slowly in 5 sectors in qualifying practice 1.
Here we go then. Fans at the top of the main pit building here. Plenty of fans in the pit lane as well for the pit lane walk they do here in the Junior GP paddock ahead of the weekend, or race day, sorry, kicking off on Sunday. And as we mentioned, it's a potentially title-defining race 1 here at Motorland Aragon. Perfect conditions. They were a little bit iffy yesterday morning in qualifying, but they have 2 qualifying sessions, one in the morning, then one in the afternoon. But yeah, these are certainly the best conditions of the weekend so far. Nice and sunny, a bit cooler than they were yesterday afternoon. So yeah, these riders are hopefully going to enjoy themselves out here today. And it's all about Lukas Tulovic versus Senna Agius. And Senna Agius might have been having a word with his elder statesman in Xavi Cardelus to just try and help him out at the start. Cardelus obviously in 2nd place, Agius in 3rd place. If Cardelus can just ruffle the feathers of Lukas Tulovic, we know how fast Lukas Tulovic is around here, then it can really play into Agius' hands, and we've seen how quick Agius can be. He was lapping alone yesterday with Senna Agius. It's difficult to quite know how quick they are in race trim just in qualifying, but Tulovic certainly looking really good for a race win here today, but let's not call it too soon. Here's the championship standings. Skrieg unfortunately not here, so it is Agius' 54-point deficit that we need to look at this weekend.
Yeah, we're just talking about how good Tulovic looked in practice and qualifying yesterday. We were standing out on circuit, and Tulovic looked fast and smooth, very Jorge Lorenzo-esque out on track yesterday. He's going to be a tough man to beat here today, but Senna Agius usually shows very well in race pace, no matter where he qualifies on the grid. And as you said, Elliot, Xavi Cardelus could ruffle the feathers of Lukas Tulovic. I wonder if there's been a chat this morning just to talk about that. Now, in motorsport. Team orders have been a hot topic recently, so we can't discount what could be happening here today, but we know that Xavi Cardelus is a class act, so I don't think he'll be doing anything too disastrous to try and ruffle up the feathers of your championship leader and potential champion at the end of this race, Lukas Tulovic.
No, he'll be certainly trying to help his teammate out, but it's his 7th season in the Moto2 European Championship for Cardelus in the middle of your picture there. So a very experienced rider indeed. I feel the first few laps, at least the first 1 or 2, are going to be absolutely crucial here in Motorland Aragon. We'll be underway very shortly. The riders are pulling up to grid. There is the number 81 of Senna Aegis, the young Australian. What a year he's had. Can he keep the title race alive into race 2 and potentially Valencia as well? The lights will show at the top of your screen, and then they go out, and we are underway here at Motorland Aragon, and it's a good start from Lukas Tulovic from pole position. Looks like he's going to get the whole shot. Xavi Cardelus holds on to P2 ahead of his teammate Senna Aegis, but that's exactly the start that Lukas Tulovic would have been wanting. The front row all line astern as you were going up to turn 3. We saw drama here in MotoGP lap 1, didn't we? Hopefully nothing comes of it this time around. It looks like they're all safely through there, but it's Lukas Tulovic who got a great launch. Cardelus in right behind him.
Now, back of row number 3, going for a third now, that's Roberto Garcia. Got a great launch off the line. He's up the inside of Senna Aegis. That is disastrous for the young Australian. The Australian's coming back at him into turn number 7 later on. The brakes can't make it stick. So very cautious from Aegis in the early stages of this race, but he may have just got up the inside. Not quite yet. We've got the number 71 of Mikel Pons looking up the inside as we go towards the reverse corkscrew. But great start from the back of row number 2 for Roberto Garcia. The rookie wanted to claim his first podium here today, but it's back in the front. Lukas Tulovic is really building up a gap over Xavi Cardelus and a few tenths further back towards Roberto Garcia, the number 31.
Yeah, that's a fantastic start from Roberto Garcia, the young Spaniard. Senna Aegis then trying to bite straight back on the number 81 down into turn 12. A nice move there from the Australian, but look at the gap that Lukas Tulovic is trying to pull already. Aegis losing ground. It's around about a second to Cardelus and around about 1.2 seconds to Lukas Tulovic. So work to do then for Aegis in these opening exchanges. We mentioned how important these opening couple of laps are, and the gap that Tulovic has already to Aegis could become crucial as we head on to lap 2. Down the long back straight, the near kilometre long back straight for the first time. Cardelus shadowing Tulovic so far, but that's a perfect getaway and a perfect lap 1 for Lukas Tulovic. Aegis with work to do already. He's got a few bikes right up behind him as well, so any mistakes, he's going to get gobbled up as well. So the number 3 crossed the line then. 14 laps to go. Sorry, 15 laps to go. And your title leader is leading the race here in Aragon.
1.6 seconds between Tulovic and Aegis. And I just want to draw your attention further back to the Stock 600 riders. Danny Munoz is back this weekend for more racing action. He won both races back in Portimao, his first of the season, and he got a great launch off the line. He got up to 11th before getting shuffled back to 14th at the end of lap number 1. So the Stock 600 riders are really getting into the mix with the Moto2 class.
Tulovic then into his rhythm already. 0.7 seconds was his advantage over the line. He's eked out an extra couple of tenths in that first sector as well. Senna Aegis here, 1.8 seconds down on the lead already. So not the start at all that number 81 would have wanted. We did fear that qualifying pace that Tulovic did show may be sort of truthful in what it was showing. 0.9 seconds, over half a second quicker than anyone else. We did think maybe that wasn't quite the case in race trim, but in the early exchanges, a long way to go, of course. 14.5 laps to go. But look at the gap he's pulling already, Liam. He's straight into his rhythm. He got the launch he would have wanted. No issues on lap 1, and now he can just get his head down, focus on the race at hand. And of course, if he does win this race, no matter what happens to Senna Aegis, he will be crowned the Moto2 European champion.
Yeah, we were talking on just before we came on air to whether Lukas Tulovic would just take it nice and easy in race number 1 and just grab the points and try and seal the deal in race number 2, but he's having none of that. Already the gap over Cardelus is 1.3 seconds as we're about to complete lap number 2, and that's 2.2 seconds over Aegis. So Lukas Tulovic, the German, your champion-elect, is off and running at the start of race number 1 here at Aragon. Across the line to tick off lap number 2, and it's a new fastest lap, a 1:52.965 from Lukas Tulovic, 1.3 seconds ahead of Cardelus, and as he comes through turn number 2 up towards turn number 3, poetry in motion. Tulovic is off and running, and no one can see which way he's gone.
The only rider in the 152s, I fear he's probably going to be the only rider in the 152s this race as well. 152.965, very, very quick time indeed from Lukas Tulovic, and Senna Aegis is now catching up to the back of his teammate Xavi Cardelus. Maybe Aegis was just a bit tentative in the open exchanges, didn't get a bad launch by any means, he kept 3rd place, but Roberto Garcia, the man just behind him in 4th place, got a fantastic start from row 2 and managed to overtake him. We've seen it in Moto 2. I remember speaking to Jake Dixon, he started on the front row back in Japan, I think it was, and after the DNF in the previous race, Senna Aegis has done over in Portimao, just was a little bit too nervous and a little bit maybe too careful in the opening lap, because the last thing you want to do, of course, is crash in the early exchanges and just ruin your race completely.
Yeah, if he crashes earlier on in this race, it'll be championship well and truly over and towards Tulovic as well. As we take a look at the start again, a great launch off the line from the number 3, Lukas Tulovic, and Roberto Garcia from the back of row number 2 managed to get up the inside. A bit of a wheelie there from the inside of row number 2. Yeah, it's a slow motion start. The number 72 there, that was Yari Ruiz. He got a bit of a wheelie as he launched off the line, which shuffled him further back. He's down in 5th spot at the moment, trying to claw the gap back towards Roberto Garcia on the number 31. So, yeah, into turn number 1, he already had a couple of bike lengths ahead of Xavi Cardelus, and ticking off another lap, the number 3, and it's up to 2 seconds ahead of Cardelus. But on that lap, Senna Aegis managed to peg him. So it was stayed at 2.2 seconds between Tulovic and Aegis. So Aegis is now coming on strong. Taking him a couple of laps to get up to speed, but now that he's done that, he's really starting to find the pace.
Yeah, he is. Half a second quicker was Aegis than his teammate Xavi Cardelus, so I feel like it's only a matter of time before Aegis climbs up into 2nd place. Will he have anything to answer for Lukas Tulovic? Tulovic again in the 152s, the only rider to do so, but Aegis only a couple of attempts away from that lap time. So Aegis building into this race nicely, right up behind teammate Xavi Cardelus. Now they go through turn 7, and now they come down into turn 8. There you can see the last lap comparisons, nearly half a second quicker was the young Australian compared to Xavi Cardelus. Roberto Garcia is being dragged with him as well. So we mentioned Garcia searching for that maiden podium in the Moto 2 class, and he's got it right in his sights. Xavi Cardelus out of the seat there, out of the seat twice, coming out of turn 10, the ferociously fast turn 10. You get it picked up out of turn 9, get it leaned over the left-hand side through turn 10, pretty much full gas here for the Moto 2 riders, and Xavi Cardelus on the number 18 machine, a little bit of a scare there, and that's allowed Senna Aegis to come on through. So now Aegis has Lukas Tulovic's title rival in sight, but the gap is 2.6 seconds, so it's quite a gap to bridge for the young Australian, but can he get his head down and start reeling men in?
Yeah, Cardelus looking over his shoulder, knows that Roberto Garcia is drawn alongside him. Well, we have a change for 3rd, not quite yet, but Cardelus, we thought he might make it easy for Senna Aegis to try and get through, but we didn't actually think he'd make it that easy for him. Nearly launched himself to the sky. A very scary corner to have a bit of a rear-end moment, especially on lap number 4 of this race. You know, you don't have him warnings too early on, but for now, he's still in 3rd spot, and thankfully still in this race after that scary moment. And the team we just saw looking on cannot take their eyes off the screen as they're looking at the timing monitors. And unfortunately for Aegis on that lap, he lost 0.7 of a second towards Tulovic. The gap is now 2.9 seconds.
Yeah, another fastest lap of the race for Lukas Tulovic, a 1:52.882. So no signs of slowing down for Lukas Tulovic. He's really in the zone now. He'll be getting updates of it from his pit board, of course. He'll know the gap he's pulled out. Nearly 3 seconds at the early stage. Well, it's just clocked up to 3 seconds. Another 10th or so taken out of 2nd place, Senna Aegis. So we fear that it could be a race for 2nd place and 3rd place here between these 3 riders. But yeah, the number 81 of Senna Aegis, all he can do is try and do the best he can. Finish 2nd place, of course, even if he loses the title. It's his debut season in Moto 2 European Championship. And Lukas Tulovic has been around for a lot longer as the experienced German. So, nevertheless, whatever happens here, it'll be a fantastic year for both the duo. But Carlos, after that mistake, he's just regathered his composure a little bit, hasn't he? He's not let his teammate streak clear. He's tagged onto the back of him, and he's looking menacing here, is Xavi Carlos.
Yeah, it's regathered his composure, has Xavi Carlos at number 18, and maybe it's just putting hooks into the back of Aegis a little bit. Someone to follow has maybe just helped him regather that composure, that form as well. But for any of the British fans looking to see where Sam Wilford is, he's remained where he was, where he started. 13th place for the returning Sam Wilford. As a big bad Wilf, he's known in the paddock as well. And the number 35 is continuing on strong, just on the fringes, or just inside the points. And for our penalty riders for the back, Kyle Paz is up to 19th spot. He got a great start off the line, and Dino Iozzo on the stock 600, he is 23rd. So those two have made great ground off the start as we start lap number 6 here today.
Yeah, all about just trying to get a little bit fitter and enjoying riding the bike again for Sam Wilford. It was a terrifying crash really over in Estoril round 1. Seems so long ago now, doesn't it? It was probably because it was so long ago, but yeah, great to see Sam Wilford back on the bike, of course. He started the season so strong in Estoril, claimed his best result, P5, and then yeah, had that unfortunate incident while challenging for the podium. But yeah, great to see Sam Wilford back, and back at the front here. Carlos just having a little bit of a look there on teammate Senna Aegis, but thinks a little bit better of it, of course. The last thing that Carlos wants to do is take out his teammate and officially end the title chase. And see, anything can happen in the last 10.5 laps. Sudovic is still streaking clear, 3.5 seconds up the road. He was into the 153s that time around, but it was still a good half a second faster than Senna Aegis, Carlos and Roberto Garcia in this fight for the podium.
I was going to say 153, Tulovic is barely trying now. We need to get a hurry on a little bit. That's relatively leisurely compared to what Tulovic should be setting in the early stages of this race. And something that's not leisurely is the battle for second. Carlos is climbing all over the back of Senna Aegis. It looks like Senna Aegis is using a little bit more track than his teammate just behind him. A run down the hill, and Carlos has got a great run, tucking into the slipstream. They've dropped Garcia in 4th spot, pulling out into the final corner. Earlier on the brakes is Carlos, not sure if they were just setting up a move for a little bit later on in the race, but for now, Senna Aegis still in 2nd spot.
Yeah, doesn't want to do anything silly, does he? Carlos, as we mentioned, he's a very experienced rider in this class on a Moto2 machine. We've seen him in the Moto2 World Championship, of course, as well. Yeah, just 10 laps to go. He's obviously wanting to be standing on the podium for the 3rd time this year. His best result this year certainly is 3rd place, and his teammate is sitting in 2nd place at the minute, so we'll be wanting to finish 2nd if he can make a nice clean move. Here's a reminder of the championship standings. Tulovic will add another 25 points to his tally to take him to 205. Aegis in 2nd place at the minute, 59 points, and with 2 races to go after this. 1 race this afternoon and another race in Valencia at the end of this month, a week before the Grand Prix paddock head there for the season finale. It will officially be over. The title race will be over. But of course, 9.5 laps to go, sorry. Anything can happen. So we won't call it just yet, although Gutsulic is doing a hard job of us not to call it just yet. 3.9 seconds is his advantage now. But the race for 2nd is good. 2 teammates going at it. Roberto Garcia just losing out slightly at this moment in time. Loses another 0.3 in that 2nd sector.
Yeah, Garcia must be thinking, what do I have to do to get on the podium here in Moto2? He looked very strong about a lap and a half ago, but the Promo Racing team riders have just edged out just ever so slightly. But the good thing is Roberto Garcia has a huge gap over Yari Ruiz, the number 72 rider in 5th spot, so he's not coming under any pressure, as we can see from the long back straight. We're standing there on track yesterday. I cannot believe how long that back straight is. It looks like an absolute lifetime they take to come down it from when you're standing at the bottom. But nevertheless, it is Senna Aegis that's still holding off. Xavi Carlos is a click off another lap. The gap is staying at 4.3 seconds. Could we be getting a little bit hopeful that they could be starting to claw in Lucas Tulovic in the front? I'm not thinking so, but we can always hope. There's still 9 laps remaining, or 8.5 8 3/4 laps remaining, so anything can happen in Moto 2, as we have seen plenty of times this year. It's been a very competitive year this year, even though Tulovic could wrap up the title with 2 races to go. But Senna Aegis and Alex Escrig have both given Tulovic a run for his money on many occasions this year, and as we saw back in Valencia, tyres could come into play later on in the race.
Yeah, they certainly have the 2 young guns really in Moto2 European Championship. There's plenty of young guns, of course, but these 2, Senna Aegis and Alex Escrig, who is fortunately injured, have really given Tulovic a run for his money. Tulovic in his 6th full year in the Moto2 European Championship, so very experienced. This is his 61st start in the European Championship on a Moto2 machine, and it's credit to Lukas Tulovic to be taking it to these young guys, because you know how quick and different riding styles and just fearless these young guys can be, can't they? Aegis and Escrig have taken to the Moto2 machines, especially Aegis coming up from Moto3, taking it like a duck to water. We've seen also in the World Championship how strong Senna Aegis is. Hopefully we'll be seeing the young Australian there in the future, and we could be seeing Lukas Tulovic in Moto2 World Championship in the future too. We had news yesterday, didn't we, that Marcel Schrotter is leaving the Liqui Moly Intact GP team to go across to MV Agusta in the World Supersport paddock. So there's 2 free seats there at the Liqui Moly Intact GP team in the Moto2 World Championship. Of course, Tulovic's current team here is the Liqui Moly Intact Junior team. And of course, Jeremy Alcoba's moved to Gresini Racing, hasn't he, too? So yeah, 2 free seats there, and rumours are, Liam, we could be seeing Tulovic on the World Championship grid next year.
Yeah, that's the hot rumour at the moment, isn't it? That Tulovic will be heading back towards the World Championship, where he did compete previously on board with the NTS bike. Unfortunately, back then he didn't have such a good time of things, but he was a little bit younger. He's a bit more experienced now, still only 22 years of age, which I still cannot get my head around. That Tulovic has been around forever and he's still that young. Born in June of 2000, so yeah, he's a Y2K kid, is Lukas Tulovic. But yeah, it looks like he will be heading towards the World Championship, and I won't be so surprised if he's announced very shortly if he wraps up the Moto2 title here in the European Championship this weekend.
Yeah, only rumours, of course. We're not obviously confirming anything. We don't know official information or anything like that. But yeah, there have been a few murmurings over the past month or so that it will be Tulovic coming in to occupy one of the seats in the World Championship. We've seen the likes of Fermin Aldeguer and Alonso Lopez, who were in this championship last season and did so well in this championship last season, dominated here. Fermin Aldeguer, of course, winning that one. But both of them now on the Moto2 World Championship scene, and especially Alonso Lopez has come from the Moto2 European Championship and really taken the world by storm in the intermediate class.
Saying just a little bit wide into the turn 14 chicane, and that's given Xavi Cardolos a fantastic run on him down the back straight, ducking into the slipstream goes the Andorran, and will he make a move into the final corner? No, he won't. Later in the brakes is his teammate Senna Aegis, but running wide again, that's going to give Xavi Cardolos the opportunity to sneak up the inside. It's very deceiving, that corner. There's so many lines you can take through the final corner. A little bit wide, ducking up the inside, you never know who could take it, but it's still Senna Aegis leading the way for second anyway, ahead of Xavi Cardolos. It's wide again. That's 3 corners in a row, so he's maybe struggling to get the bike stopped ever so slightly, Senna Aegis.
Yeah, interesting there. Turn 1, a very, of course, hard braking zone, tight left-hander to start the lap. On the other side of the coin, turn 16 and 17, a ferociously quick end to the lap. Turn 16 and 17, the long left-hander, yeah, like Liam said, plenty of lines. You can run wide and make a tight apex at the end of it. You can go in tight and potentially lose a bit of ground, but move up the inside of the person ahead of you. We've seen it plenty of times, haven't we? But yeah, Aegis coming under pressure then from Xavi Cardolos with 6.5 laps to go.
That looks like Mikel Pons, the number 71, is pulled into the pits. So not sure what the issue is for the young Spaniard there, and also the Moto E rider. But Mikel Pons is pulled into the pits from a very strong ride inside the top 10. But before we cut to the pits there, we just saw Senna Aegis running onto the green once again, coming out of turn number 7. So he doesn't want to be doing that too often, does Senna Aegis. He can do it 3 times before getting a warning. If he does it another 2 times, he'll be given a long lap penalty. But fortunately for Aegis, that's the first time I've really seen him run onto the green. A few laps ago, I did mention that Garcia was well ahead of Yadi Ruth and Alex Toledo. Now that gap is coming down ever so slightly in the last couple of laps. Yadi Ruth has just been chipping away at Roberto Garcia, taking a couple of tenths out of him lap on lap. He might run out of laps with 6 and a bit to go, but the battle for 4th is well and truly on at the moment.
Certainly is. 1.3 seconds is the gap from Ruiz to Garcia. Garcia has lost touch now with the podium fight. He's not too far off. He's only just over 2 seconds away. So if anything happens between the two teammates here with 6 laps to go, then Garcia will be there to pick up any pieces and try and clamber onto the podium for the first time this year. But this is a good learning curve really for Senna Aegis. He's had a fantastic year, like we've mentioned. But of course, still a very young rider, still learning his trades on a Moto2 machine. Xavi Cardelus, an experienced teammate of his, of course. He'll have been looking at the data Xavi Cardelus would have been posting. And obviously learning a lot from Xavi Cardelus. But this is good pressure from Cardelus putting on his teammate. Obviously not making any silly moves so far, but I bet in the last few laps, sort of 5 or 3 laps to go, if he can have a chance, then he'll have a bite of the cherry, will Cardelus. Incidentally, Tulovic 5.4 seconds up the roads. He's really dropped his pace now, mid 153s, but we say he dropped his pace, he's still over half a second faster than anyone else. He's sort of cruising to victory here and cruising to the title as well, is Lucas Tulovic. Cardelus and Aegis setting pretty much identical lap times.
Yeah, it's a very nice, poetic sort of ride into the Aragon sun for Lucas Tulovic and the 2022 title challenge at the moment. He's well on course to be wrapping up the Moto2 European Championship here today in race number 1 as Senna Aegis tries to hold his teammate at bay. And that battle for 4th is continuing to come down. It's 1.3 seconds. So Ruiz took 0.4 of a second out of Roberto Garcia last time round. So Ruiz on the number 72 machine, he got a bit of a horrible start, a bit of a wheelie off the line, but he's managed to compose himself, get himself back into a rhythm, and he's now closing down the number 31 of Roberto Garcia, who is looking on course for his 3rd top 5 finish in a row.
5 laps to go then here in Aragon race 1 for the Moto2 European Championship. The Liqui Moly Intact junior team looking on, pensive faces, but deep down they'll be knowing that their rider, Germany's Lucas Tulovic, is well on course to claim the 2022 world title. Very smooth, very fast here in Aragon. He's been dominant all weekend. He's had a dominant year. He's not finished lower than 2nd place, would you believe it, this year. So we've been bigging up the 2 riders behind him in the championship in Eskrig and Aegis, but Tulovic has really shown some class here in 2022. Like I say, not finished below 2nd place. I know he's obviously possessed fantastic speed all year, but to not finish below 2nd, Liam, to have P2 as your worst result of the season is absolutely phenomenal.
It's incredible consistency, incredible speed. It's very Marc Marquez-esque in MotoGP in 2019 when he ran off to win the title by 420 points, or with 420 points. So he's a very class act, is young Tulovic this year. No one can really lay a glove on him when he is on this kind of form, and he's been on this kind of form 4 times previously this year. So if he wins here today, it'll be win at number 5, and there's only been 3 previous occasions in Moto2 where the champion of that year has not won 5 or more races, so he's going to be joining a very esteemed club as Lucas Tulovic if he can hold on for another 4 and a bit laps.
Firmin Aldeguer, of course, the reigning Moto2 European champion, but I think Aldeguer will be losing his crown very shortly indeed in the next 4 laps. This is Roberto Garcia, the number 31 rider, coming under increasing pressure, as Liam rightly pointed out a couple of laps ago. It's down to under a second now. Back to Yari Ruiz, 9/10 of a second in the battle for 4th place. So that's going to go right down to the wire. Roberto Garcia on home soil, of course. The young Spaniards. Down into turn 1 they go, hard braking zone. Left-hander, very, very easy to make a mistake there, to run a little bit wide. Coming out of pit lane, not sure who that is. It could be Mikel Pons re-entering circuit. I think it is.
Yeah, I think it's Michael Pons. As it flashes up on a time screen that he has just re-entered track there. So, yeah, the 71 maybe had a bike issue, and they're sending him back out just to get a little bit of data before race number 2 this afternoon. But Sam Wilford, the number 12, we've been talking about him a little bit here today. The number 35, he's in 12th spot after Michael Pons pulled into the pits a few laps ago. He's just 1.7 seconds behind Piotr Biszakirski, who's in a battle with Montero for 10th spot. So if Sam Wilford could find a bit more pace, then he could be in the battle for the top 10, which would be a fantastic return to racing action after that Estoril crash at the start of the year.
Certainly would be for the number 35 British rider. And just looking at the Stock 600 battle as well, Daniel Munoz, who will, well, fans of the Junior GP will probably recognise Daniel Munoz from Moto 3 and Junior GP class. But he's moved into the Stock 600 class in the last couple of races, won both races over in Portimao, did Munoz, and him and Juan Rodriguez, the number 38 rider on the Cuna de Campeones machine, are having a nice ding-dong battle in, well, first and second in class, but 15th and 16th in this race, of course, riding Yamaha machines, a little bit slower than the Moto 2 bikes, a little bit less power. Obviously, road-going machines, not purpose-built race machines, so they have a pace disadvantage compared to the Moto 2 riders, which is why they're down in 15th and 16th. But yeah, good battle there for the class victory in the Stock 600 class. So 3 laps to go then for Lukas Tulovic. The gap now just over 6 seconds. He's still in the mid 153s. Incidentally, Cardelus has dipped back into the 153, so Cardelus showing good pace here in the latter stages. Senna Aegis 154.0, so Aegis just outside the 153. So the battle for the podium is going to go right down to the wire. Battle for second and third at least. And Ruiz certainly is catching up to Garcia now. So we've got intriguing battles down the order. Unfortunately, not for P1, but all credit has to go to the number 3 German of Lukas Tulovic with 2.5 laps to go. Well on course to claim the 2022 title, and a much-deserved title win as well.
Yeah, he's on course for win at number 5 of the season, and every time we've spoken to him after the race so far this year, he's had the biggest beaming smile I've ever seen on your face, and I can imagine it's going to be ×2 after this race here today with 2.5 laps remaining. The number 3, the Liqui Moly Intact Junior Team rider, well on course for wrapping up the 2022 Moto2 European Championship. Running on the green, he's done that a couple of times so far this lap. He's done it to turn number 1 as well. Saw him kick the back end of the bike out and run on the green, so he doesn't want to be doing that a little bit too often. But even if he's given a penalty, it's roughly around about 3 or 4 seconds time lost. He's got a 6.3 second gap. I think he'll still be okay.
Yeah, long lap penalty here, around about 2-3 seconds is in most places we see. Just at the outside of turn 9, the reverse corkscrew, we might be seeing that in action today. But yeah, hopefully no such worries for Tulovic. 2 laps to go, and it's 2 laps to go pretty much for these 2 riders as well, Aegis and Cardelus, the 2 Promo Racing Kalex riders, the number 81 and the number 18, embroiled in a fascinating podium scrap. And you can see in the background there, Liam, Roberto Garcia now coming under incredible pressure from Yari Ruiz as we get yellow flags at turn 2. The number 91 of Florov has crashed, the Stock 600 rider.
Yeah, it must have been just getting lapped by your race leader, Senna Aegis, not the race leader. It's Lukas Tulovic is the race leader. Senna Aegis is the one that's on screen at the moment. But yeah, he was just round about where Lukas Tulovic is, so fingers crossed he wasn't caught up with your race leader. And Florov storms away, not looking too happy with that at all. But yes, you were just mentioning the battle for 4th. Garcia holding Ruiz at bay just at the moment. The gap is under 0.2 of a second. So as we've got the battle raging on for 2nd, we've also got the battle for 4th that's going to go all the way down to the wire. Garcia held pace with these 2 on screen. Garcia held pace with Aegis and Cardelus for the opening laps, but has dropped back into the clutches of Ruiz, and Ruiz, we know in the past, has been, well, someone that likes to get his elbows out in a last lap scrap, so we could be seeing that. Garcia could be on the receiving end of some elbows by the number 72 in the last remaining lap and a half. But Senna Aegis is pushing very hard now, running a little bit deep into corners, but he's opening up that gap crucially over his teammate.
Yeah, both setting 1:53.8 lap time as last time around. So they're not setting in for P2 and P3. Here are the two promo racing riders. They're going for this. They obviously want to finish as high up as possible, both on the podium, but both really want to stand on the second step if they can't stand on P1. Round the final couple of corners they go, turn 16 and then the apex there, turn 17, leading onto the short front straight here at Motorland Aragon. Can confirm Lucas Tulovic has crossed the line, and it is last lap time here in Aragon race 1. Lucas Tulovic 6 seconds up the road from these pair, well on course to claim the Moto2 European title. This battle was going to go all the way down to the wire, you feel, Liam. They were just a little bit slower that time around. Lucas Tulovic has really dropped his pace. He's down into the 1:54s, but he's built up a gap and he just has to cruise home to victory now. You can see there the box. All happy and smiley, of course. They know their rider, their star, is on the way to being a Moto2 European champion.
Yeah, it's been a great season all round for Tulovic and for the Liqui Moly intact junior team as well. They're in the garage, they're prepared for the rider who's only got half a lap remaining of this Motorland Aragon circuit. Down the hill and towards turn number 12. There's a bit of a bump on the inside, but he had a little bit of a moment there in the middle of it, but safely through into turn number 13 he goes, down towards 14. There's only 4 corners remaining for the German Lucas Tulovic, who will be on course to claim the 2022 Moto2 European Championship.
The team knows, and he probably knows. We see in the background there, P2 and P3, Aegis still leading, card loose, but it's all about the number 3 of Lucas Tulovic. 2 more corners to go for the German rider. He safely negotiates turn 16, run it wide, and brings it back to the apex for turn 17, and he has done it. Lucas Tulovic is a Moto2 European Championship title winner in 2022. Congratulations, Lucas Tulovic, you have done it. And Senna Aegis beats teammate Xavi Cardlus to second place, but Lucas Tulovic, what a win and what a season for the German rider. Incidentally, Ruiz just got the better of Garcia there in the closing stages, but the celebrations can begin for Lucas Tulovic, his friends, family, and the Liqui Moly intact GP team. What a season they have had.
A superlative season by the young German, the 22-year-old from Germany, the number 3, has done it. He is a Moto2 Junior World Champion. An incredible ride by him all season long to pick up win at number 5. And Senna Aegis, we've got to give a shout out to Senna Aegis. The young 17-year-old from Australia pushed him all the way, but the experience, the speed of Tulovic came to fruition at the end, and he was able to win the championship with 2 races remaining. And Xavi Cardlus picked up his 3rd podium of the season in 3rd spot. And the 2022 Moto2 European Champion picks up a t-shirt that declares him the champion for the year. Hugs all round, and what a season it has been. You can just tell that underneath that helmet is a beaming smile.
Can confirm he is the 2022 Moto2 European Champion, not 2021, so a slight mistake there on the graphics. But as always, get the gold helmet. Love to see the gold helmet being brought out for the champions in motorcycle racing. It's a bit of a tradition now, isn't it, to get yourself a gold lid and put on the t-shirt. It's one thing possessing the pace, Liam, in qualifying and in free practice, but to go out there and string together such a perfect race, got the start he would have wanted, had no troubles, and then just set about getting into his rhythm, setting a good pace at the front, bridging that gap to the guys behind, managing the gap, of course, and then bringing it home in one piece. It's a tremendous race here in Aragon, and just sort of sums up really his season.
It's worthy of a great championship when a champion of Lucas Tulovic's character can become champion in the way he has done this year. He's won races in last lap battles. He's won races through cool calm and collectiveness with tyre management, and he's also won races in dominant fashion, as we've seen here today. Throw anything at Lucas Tulovic and he manages to head at it square on and manages to come out on top as he pops a fantastic stand-up wheelie. The number 3 will be sticking a number 1 on the front of that bike as he is the champion for 2022.
Yeah, where will we see Lukas Tulovic in 2023? Here's a bit of a review then of Lukas Tulovic's 2022 title-winning campaign. Sensational stuff from the number 3 German rider in 2022. It's been a privilege to watch him do his thing this year. He's got his little fan club up there, I'm sure plenty of his friends and family. The ones who could have travelled to Aragon this weekend probably have done to see their star win the title in race 1. And now, of course, he can relax and just go out and enjoy his riding in race 2. He'll have been feeling the pressure, of course. Only natural that when there's a title on the line, that riders feel the pressure. It's always nervous sitting on the start line, no matter what the circumstances. But when you've got a title to win, when you know all you have to do is win the race from pole position, the pressure will have been ramped up a little bit more, but you wouldn't have been able to tell, would you? We'll be hearing from Lukas Tulovic, of course, very shortly indeed. The 2 promo racing riders are already in Parc Fermé. Job done for those 2. In terms of the race, they just will, of course, be a little bit disappointed not to take the title race, at least into this afternoon's encounter. But with that result, he does move up into 2nd in the overall standings. A good year for the young Australian who has 2 more races left this year to try and win another race. Lukas Tulovic, nice little Jack Miller-esque endo coming into pit lane and a nice burnout as well. We'll be hearing from the 2022 title winner very shortly indeed as he pulls into Parc Fermé as a European champion. Let the celebrations begin with friends, family and the team, of course. What a day for the German rider. Will we be seeing him in the Moto2 World Championship next year? We'll find out soon enough, I'm sure. But with 2 spaces in the Liqui Moly team, as we mentioned, not sure why the graphic is still saying 2021. We are definitely in 2022. He is the 2022 title winner. Takes the crown from Fermin Aldeguer, who of course is in the Moto2 World Championship with Boscoscuro speed up. I think plenty of emotions will be running through the veins of Lukas Tulovic. A sense of relief, of course, happiness, and it will be time to celebrate. Can't celebrate too hard, they've got another race to go this afternoon, but I think the drinks and food and whatever else will be flowing later on this afternoon. Another podium to Senna Aegis' name. He'll go over and congratulate Lukas Tulovic. They've had some memorable scraps this year. Aegis coming out on top of the 2 over in Barcelona, where he really announced himself as a class act in 2022, did Aegis. Cardelus's 3rd podium of the season, picked up podiums in Valencia and Portimao, and now he's got another one to his name in Aragon. Liam Hollinger has made his way down to Parc Fermé, and we'll be hearing from Lukas Tulovic very, very shortly indeed. And then, of course, the podium celebrations will follow, and it will be a very happy podium for one rider and one team, won't it? Of course, Promo Racing will be happy, a double podium for them. Can't ask too much more than that. Yeah, today and the season is all about Lukas Tulovic, the 22-year-old. As we mentioned during the race, it feels weird that he's only 22 years old, doesn't it? He's been around for quite a while, who's Lukas Tulovic, but still age is on his side. Here's race 1 highlights then from Aragon, and the number 3 rider on pole position. Got the launch he would have wanted. Grabs the whole shot into the tight and tricky turn 1 left-hander. And from there on in, didn't look back at all. Carlos got up into second place, but Aegis, his teammate, got past him a few laps in after Carlos made a slight error coming out of turn 10. That's the gap that Lucas Tulovic had on the final lap. Around about half of the kilometre long back straight. And all he had to do was bring it home, cruise round the final 2 corners, cross the line to become the 2022 European Moto 2 title winner. There's the team there celebrating on pit wall. They know the score. That was the 2 promo racing teammates. Aegis just beating Carlos to the line by a couple of tenths. And here is Lucas Tulovic then, an emotional looking Lucas Tulovic. He's down there in Parc Ferme.
Lucas Tulovic, Moto2 European champion. Massive congratulations. You've done it with your 5th victory of the season. Just explain to us how you're feeling.
Well, it's, I don't know, I don't have so much words. It's been such a long time, so many seasons, so many teams and bikes, and well, just so glad for this opportunity from my team, from all my sponsors. We've been working so hard for this, and right now it's really difficult to realize, and the last laps in the race, I did so many mistakes. It was really, really tough today to keep my mind in position. just thank you so much for everybody, and I can't wait for the future.
It's been an incredible year. Can we have your response in German as well, please?
Oh, es war wirklich viele Jahre, sehr, sehr harte Zeit, viele Teams, viele Bikes. Und bin einfach nur überglücklich und dankbar von meinem Team für die Chance und Gelegenheit. Es hat einfach alles gepasst dieses Jahr, und die letzten Runden im Rennen habe ich so viele Fehler gemacht. Es war echt schwer, den Kopf da zu behalten auf der Strecke, und aktuell ist es alles noch ein bisschen surreal. Vielen, vielen Dank an alle, und ich freue mich auf die Zukunft.
Massive congratulations once again, Lucas. Go and enjoy the celebrations with your team.
Thank you so much.
Here's the race 1 highlights then from Aragon. Lucas Tulovic starting on pole position, got the start he would have wanted, and the whole shot down into turn 1. Carlos grabbing P2 from the middle of the front row. Sanio just getting a decent enough start, but lost out in the early exchanges to the fast starting Roberto Garcia from the outside of the second row. Carlos did threaten to go with Lucas Tulovic in the early exchanges, kept the gap to around about a second, just under a second in the opening couple of laps, but after that Lucas Tulovic pulled the pin and cleared off into the distance on his way to the 2022 title. Carlos made a little bit of an error on the exit of turn 10, the Marc Marquez corner, on the run up through turn 11 down into turn 12, which allowed Senna Aegis to come through into second place, and from there on in it was a fascinating battle for the podium for P2 and P3 between the teammates. That's Mikel Florov, the number 91 stock 600 rider, crashing out thankfully unhurt at turn 2. But the race really was all about this man Lucas Tulovic, the German 22-year-old. No mistakes, he's barely put a foot wrong all season as Lucas Tulovic, and he crossed the line to take his 5th win of the season and to claim the 2022 European Moto2 title. Senna Aegis crossing the line in 2nd place, and Xavi Carlos crossing the line in 3rd place to complete the podium here in Aragon. Fantastic scenes there at the end of the race. Emotions, of course, running high for Lucas Tulovic. So much hard work, so much tireless effort goes into trying to reach your dreams in motorcycle racing. Lucas Tulovic, 6th year in the Moto2 European Championship. Xavi Carlos comes out onto the podium for the 3rd time this year. His teammate, Senna Aegis, picks up another podium in second place. He now sits second in the overall standings. But as you can hear from the cheers, the race winner once again in 2022, and this time the one that hands him the 2022 title is, of course, Lukas Tulovic. It's quite emotional down there in Park Foamy, wasn't he, Liam? Understandably so, of course. It's, as I say, you put so much time and effort into trying to reach your dreams, and when you've claimed a title, no matter what class it is, surely there's so much relief and so much happiness and, yeah, just so much emotion inside you.
It's not just the emotions that come out, it's the years of hard graft, the training you put in, getting up early in the morning to go running in the winter, just to get ready for a season, to try and avoid injury. It's all of that and much, much more for Lukas Tulovic.
Un fuerte aplauso, por favor, para los vencedores, esa gaseosa.
The German national anthem featuring some Hawkins European talent footballers singing out there for Lukas Tulovic, and the celebrations can partly begin, of course, spraying the champagne. Well, not for Senna Aegis, he's not quite old enough to spray the champagne on the podium, but Tulovic and Carlos, it's not champagne, of course, it's Prosecco Doc, so forgive me for that one. Prosecco Doc on the podium. But yeah, the celebrations can partly begin. Race 2 coming up a little bit later on, the penultimate race of the day, Motorland European Championship Race 2, and Tulovic now can just go out and enjoy himself, can't he? Photos then on the podium for the 3 podium finishers, and here are the full results. Lukas Tulovic, a race winner and 2022 title winner with it. Aegis and Carlos on the podium. Ruiz claiming 4th ahead of Roberto Garcia. Alex Toledo picking up 6th ahead of Tommaso Marcon, Mattia Volpi and Mattia Rato down there inside the top 10. Piotr Wyszykowski there, round out top 10. Eduardo Montero in 11th. David Sanchez in 12th. Sam Wilford, the returning Sam Wilford, in 13th. Carl Paz in P14. And the graphics disappeared just a little bit too quick for my eyes. But here is then the Moto2 European Championship. Lukas Tulovic, an unassailable now 59 points ahead of Senna Aegis, who moves ahead of Alexis Skrieg. The absence, Alexis Skrieg in 3rd place. Toledo 4th in the championship. Cardloose strengthened his position, he moves up into 6th place. So the battle over in Valencia will probably be between Aegis and Skrieg for 2nd in the overall standings, depending, of course, what Aegis is able to do in race 2. There's the lower ends of the top 10. Montero there around that top 10. Paz in 11th, Marcon in 12th, 11 on points with Hector Garzo, who isn't here this weekend. Sam Wilford, a couple more points on the boards after missing the last 5 months through injury. Here's the stock 600 podium. Daniel Munoz for the 3rd race in a row in the class, picking up victory. Mentioned that battle with Juan Rodriguez there on the Cuna de Campeones machine. And Kevin August completing the podium just ahead of Marco Tapia. There's the results for the Superstock 600 race 1. Daniel Munoz doing a good job at the start of his campaign. Race 9 of 11. Same as the Moto2 riders, so they've got another race this afternoon, of course, and then one final race over in Valencia at the end of the month. Britain's Corey Tinker down there, finishing 10th in class ahead of Jacopo Hoschuk. They'll be out again later on this afternoon. As we see the Liquid Moly Intact team, and I'm sure some friends and family of Lukas Tulovic as well, standing on the podium, proudly displaying the #1 European title pit board. hopefully he races that gold helmet in race 2, but we shall see later on this afternoon. Lukas Sulovic then, job done for the German here in the Moto2 European Championship. We'll see them a little bit later on, but next up is Hawker's European Talent Cup race 1, where another title can be won today. Stick around.